and Dana have got into a spat. All right. Well, this sounds like it'll end well. What are they fighting about? I just watched this whole thing. So Connor and Dana had some private messages, I believe, through a social media platform. I think the kids call that a DM. If I'm wrong, it was a text message exchange, but Connor somewhere did what's called a screenshot and then posted that on a social media forum. And Dana's kind of looking at it going, hey man, that's private. That's between you and whatever was said, good, bad, or indifferent, but that's private. And Connor only had a couple of options, right? He could apologize. He could lay out and do nothing, or he could do with the option that he somehow elected, which was called a double down. He doubled down. And he said, no, you broke the code by, and I think he was accusing Dana of being dishonest about something. And he had some other gripe. And I'm just looking at that and going, okay, look, there is no debating this. A private message is a private message. That's true. Secondly, it's always a very weird spot when you say somebody lied. That seems to be a word that people really love to use. But in the world of business, a lot of it is protecting information. It just is. There's something called a press release where you are going to reveal certain information at a very specific time. So if you are at a public forum, call it a press conference, and you are asked a question of information that cannot yet be revealed, and somebody else looks at that and says that you lied while doing business, they don't always go hand in hand. And I'm not talking about being dishonest. I'm talking about the preservation of information, of which I don't even know that is what happened here. It just seems like that's just a word that I hear a lot lately, and possibly because it's political season. But I can still remember back 4 years ago when Hillary Clinton was running, and they asked her, and she her last job was being Secretary of State, and they simply asked her, have you ever lied to the American people? And her response was, I try not to. And she took a lot of heat for that. People hated that answer. They thought that was a concession. I try not to is the same as saying, yeah, I do. But if you understand the role of Secretary of State, there are certain things that you simply cannot say. You do not have your First Amendment clause anymore to the right to free speech. There are certain things you cannot say. You could be placed in jail and they could call it treason just for words that come out of your mouth, something that the rest of us can't relate to because we've never been the Secretary of State. I only offer that for you because I feel the word lying gets thrown out a lot. And the word lying got put out by Connor, who has not told the truth in 2 years. Now, I don't call Connor a liar. I call him a manipulator. There's times that I call him masterful. That I will call him an artist for doing what he does, which is make statements that do nothing more than grab headlines. He did one earlier this week claiming he was going to fight Pacquiao. Pacquiao was smart enough to come on the back of it and confirm that fight. They're both lying. There's no promoter out there that's done that fight. Had a promoter been working on that fight, the promoter would release the information and he would have sworn them both to secrecy until the press release. They're both trying to come up on a fight and they've gained more traction through lying than they had they not both been in bed together with the same lie. Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor followed this same recipe and told the world that they were going to fight. They made it a reality. The whole reality was based upon a lie. So you have a guy who lied throughout the week and has lied throughout 2 years, none of which I have a problem. It was headlight creating. It was fun. He was throwing things on a wall. I do not think of Conor as a liar for making statements of which were not true. Saying he was going to fight Frankie Edgar. By example, just pops into my head. Last week saying he's going to fight Pacquiao. By example, I don't think that he's lying. It's not the truth, but there seems to be some room in between for generating some ideas and brainstorming and even having a little bit of fun and manipulating the media. Sometimes that's called trolling. If we have to make everything so black and white, then we will call it a lie because it isn't true. It isn't happening. I spoke to Pacquiao this morning. I'd already known what they were doing. I just didn't want to come and tell the world what they were doing without knowing that I was right because I don't want to be called a liar. So the very guy who did all of those things is now calling the boss a liar. And that's a tremendous strategy. It's a tremendous strategy because you always want to do things that have worked out so well before. It worked out great for the Shamrocks, both of them. Ken and, no, wait a minute. That shouldn't be on the list. Well, okay, well, it worked out great for Tim Sylvia. Okay, wait a minute. That shouldn't be on here either. Well, okay, just look at Tito Ortiz, how well okay. Well, it worked out great for the Affliction organization. It worked out great for Pride. It worked out great for Jerry Milan and every other MMA promoter out there. It's worked out great for everybody that's ever wanted to get into the boss's wheelhouse. I see this ending really well.